It's a battle for the soul of the Democratic Party as the socialist wing pushes an agenda that includes abolishing the Senate, replacing the presidency with a congressionally chosen executive, and amnesty for all undocumented immigrants. Big voices like Bill Maher and Van Jones are saying, hold on a second.
I am tired of a set of people on the very far left in the Democratic Party. Ideas that are literally insane, nutty, moronic, dangerous, bigoted, are not progressive, they're regressive, and they should not be in our party.
I'm not living in communist America. I mean, I know the talking point is that, well, it's not communism, it's socialism. Okay, I've read the quotes from the DSA platform, from their own mouths. Don't tell me I'm not seeing what I am seeing. They say things like, you know, takeover of key industries, government. That's communism.
And this comes amid reports of tension between Bernie Sanders and Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader personally calling the socialist senator, telling him to stop meddling in Democratic primaries. But Sanders wasn't taking his orders. Over the weekend, Bernie teamed up with far-left Michigan Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed for a campaign rally that was a doozy. Watch here.
Brothers and sisters, let me tell you, change is coming. Progressives have been defeating establishment candidates all across America. Now, brothers and sisters, the entire country is watching this election, so there's an enormous responsibility on your shoulders.
Harold, you have made a point for many years of trying to separate the Democratic Socialists from the Democratic Party. Will Hakeem Jeffries be successful here?
I hope he is. First of all, it's good to be with everybody.
Good to be with you.
It was good to be with both of you yesterday at the soccer game.
I didn't get invited.
I barely got invited, but it was fun. Okay.
Thanks for carrying my
stuff. So a couple of things. No borders, no prisons, no police, supporting Hamas. We've been saying this on the show. I've said it for a while. I'm Van Jones, who I think is one of the more thoughtful voices and has been a leader in the party, serving, working in the White House. I don't quite understand some of the appeal to what some of these guys are talking about. I understand the frustration, the economic frustration. I understand frustration with some of our policies in the Middle East over the years, or for that matter, over the decades. But to say that supporting an organization that exacts and imposes violence on people because of their faith, to say that we don't want to have borders for our country and allow any and everyone to come in, even the worst of the worst, to say that you want no law enforcement and no place to put those who commit crimes, I don't know how that aligns or has ever aligned with the Democratic Party. Ideas are what win elections. I would suggest to Senator Sanders and others that if you look at the most recent polling data, you guys are looking at the polling data, which are the most reliable elections where some of the progressives are winning these elections. You look at the recent polling data about how Democrats are faring right now in the national races for Congress. We're in a dead heat with Republicans. And if you listen to those independents and others and some Republicans, it's because they are afraid of this message. They are afraid of the socialist communist wing of the party. Now, you may get a lot of excitement there, and I've been a part of a lot of rallies over my short time in politics. I grew up in a political family. I'm 56 years old, and I've seen anger turn into enthusiasm.
You look amazing.
But that enthusiasm is really predicated and really motivated around how are we going to solve real problems. No prisons, no borders, no police. Supporting Hamas is not an answer to solving the economic challenges facing so many Americans. It's not a solution to our broken foreign policy policies that we have in our country that are not working, whether it be in Iran or in other places. We live in a country where we've always had challenges, and we've had people roll up their sleeves and get to work. We don't have people rolling up their sleeves and saying, we're going to quit. We're going to quit capitalism. We're going to quit democracy. And we're going to go to socialism. We do that, it will get far worse. And Democrats, if we find independents and even some Democrats leaving us in the fall, come October, November, or when early voting starts in these key states, we will have only ourselves to blame if we continue to embrace a group of people whose ideas are not only anti-Democrat party, but anti-American.
Kennedy, Harold, Van Jones, John Fetterman, Bill Maher, they're basically trying to build the fort to keep out socialism. But the party leaders themselves, I mean, we have word that Hakeem Jeffries called Bernie Sanders, but Bernie Sanders and AOC are out there every single weekend. They're tireless, like campaigning. They're out there. They're drawing crowds. It feels to me like the party leadership is sort of ceding this ground and hoping that everybody else does the work for them.
Yeah, but that was the problem. They ceded the ground a long time ago. And the time to fight was, really at the beginning of the Trump conflagration. And that's when, Bernie Sanders was almost the Democrat nominee back in 2016. And that was really the moment. And that was when people like Hakeem Jeffries were more worried about being reelected than coming up with a party architecture that would take the Democrat Party into the next couple decades. And now, you talk about a fort, and all these people from Gavin Newsom to Hakeem Jeffries, all the establishment Democrats are talking about the idea of a big tent. And, it's like the Odyssey just came out. The Trojan horse, they built it, but they're riding on top of it. They're not even in sight of it. The commies have a giant saddle, and they're on the horse, and they're like, yeah, we're coming in to take your party, and we're burning the fort down. We're burning all of it down. And, give us a can of kerosene, we will light the Constitution on fire. That's what they're talking about, having the entirety of government under the legislative branch. Like, there's no longer a judiciary, there's no longer an executive branch. That means that the Constitution, as we know it, does not exist, nor does capitalism. And everything else, to Harold's point, will also go up in flames, and they have nothing to offer the day after. Nothing. They don't have housing. They don't have education. They only have fear, and that works. That works for AOC. That works for Bernie. We're going to talk about AOC a little later in the show, and, her desperate attempts to pivot, because all of these DSA talking points are not ideas. They are marching orders. This is an orthodoxy. And if you don't march in lockstep, you are out of the party. You are primary. You are out of a job. And Bernie doesn't care. He's not going to be president. He'll go ahead and draft the orders and give them to everyone else while they set a party that he despises and has since they pushed him out in 2016. He will laugh on his way to the grave as they burn it
just burn it down. What they're doing, Charlie, to me, it seems the DSA is building a bench, right? So El Sayed is a very prominent U.S. Senate candidate, but you have like 6 or so new additional mayors, so the ones that we already have running. They have 120,000 members. They have chapters in all 50 states. They're extremely organized. And one of the things that they can do is turn out in low turnout, usually low turnout elections. So like a primary on August 4th in Michigan, who all's turning out? Like, the people that came to that rally are going to turn out. Will the establishment Democrats be able to beat him?
Yeah, so it really is a growing bench. The question is whether or not that bench can play, that team can play outside of really, really deep blue places and places, like niche areas of the country. Can they play in regular America? And I would argue that, especially in sort of these swing districts and swing states, they can't play there because people are not buying this stuff. And you raise a really important point, and that is that this election, this midterm, second midterm of a president's term, is the high watermark for the Democrat Party. And so however well or badly the DSA-controlled Democrat Party does in this election, I think that they're going to overperform whatever they will be performing in 3 years from now, in 2028. I think it's going, or 2 years from now, in 2028, it's going, whatever they're going to get some sort of sugar high because it's not going to be as bad. I think that they're going to actually do a lot more poorly than they were hoping. But the other thing is that what we're seeing here right now are, for the longest time, Democrats have run on racial politics, identity politics, and to varying degrees of success. And they have switched that now to, I guess they figure they've kind of run out of that scam, and so they've switched it over to class politics. And it's really, as Harold says, it's very ugly. It's a dead-end argument. And as Kennedy says, it's a dead-end argument that shreds the Constitution. And that's why I think, yes, growing bench in places where Democrats should be winning, but it's not sellable anywhere else.
And the other thing is, to all of this, Greg, is that Bernie Sanders has for years, and Al Sayed does it too, Mom Donnie just did it this week, they basically define and attack the enemy as you or me, and then they just use that resentment to try to build a movement.
That's exactly the underpinning to everything of the last 50 years. You know, Harold is right. It is about ideas. But why did those ideas gain a foothold? It's because you can't debate them. They won't let you debate them. The strategy has shifted away from, I'd say 1971, when the Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky was published. It went from arguing about ideas to focusing on people. You know, Breitbart talked about this up to his death. It used to drive me crazy. The Rules for Radicals. You know, if you understand that book, Greg, you will see the direction of this company. They're moving away from battling over ideas, where somebody like you and Harold and I could sit and talk about immigration, to targeting people, so that you don't even have to talk about the ideas anymore. This is why the Democrat Party allowed these things to come in, because they couldn't actually argue the ideas, or else they would be targeted. I think it's a huge moment for Democrats, because it's not just about adjusting your ideas. It's about abandoning a strategy that has governed the modern left for so long. They've replaced abstract ideas, arguing about ideas, with personalized attacks. It's stated clearly in Alinsky's book. You pick the target, you freeze it, you personalize it. Do you remember these words?
Yeah.
And you polarize it. There's no mention of the idea itself. And why would you engage in ideas like socialism if history shows you that they're indefensible? Just push that aside. Personalization, personal attacks is your only tactic. Have you not noticed that is the only thing that has been going on for 50 years? The bad ideas are allowed to fester, but the people they target aren't. I mean, why was Charlie Kirk shot? They didn't argue his ideas. They just got rid of him. I think it was right before I went on vacation. I suggested 3 places for the Democrats to focus on: crime, border, and trans. Have an idea for it. It's easy. They do. I talked to Harold, knows exactly what to say. Dems resist it because it forces them back into the arena of ideas, and those muscles have atrophied. It was so much easier to focus on the person and then the polling about the person. It was like, oh, you see how unpopular Trump is because we've been painting him a Nazi for so long. Well, what about the ideas? You find out the ideas on trans. He's on the 90% popularity on whether it's deportation or trans or crime. Everybody agrees with him, but not the person. What's depressing to me is I believe that the left has transformed culture. They've removed ideas where you can be wrong about an idea and shifted it to the person where you can be evil. So that means they don't have to discuss it. The only hope for me, for the Dems, is to abandon this path finally and rejoin the nation of ideas, or this whole thing is going to implode. It's already polarizing a country, even on something as basic as patriotism, where the patriotism, the idea is never discussed, because clearly they don't mind other teams here in the country with their flags, or people from Palestine with their flags. It's us, because the people, we are the oppressors. You focus on us, therefore the idea of patriotism doesn't even factor in. This is a huge thing. When are they going to stop with the people and focus on the ideas? Harold and I, we argue all the time about ideas.
That's what it should be.
That's what it should be, and it's so. And
you know, you don't like me. We still have the.
No, I can't stand you. You make me sick to my stomach, and the fact that I had to sit next to you during that football game was horrifying.
The other thing is that all of their solutions lead back to the government
Yes.
fixing it for you.
Yeah, and you know what? They don't even care what the solution is. It's about the destruction.
That's the problem. They don't care what the solution is.
They don't care
They just want to, bemoan and discredit people.
Yeah.
Who may be rich or whatever. And then, look, anyway, we got.
They're all full of contradictions because they're rich as well. Some of them. All right. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.